Watra kwa bala kopa wane neneja kopa leja bala yebenyo wabala kosi wane gamla bitila salaja wano kopa dudu kubiko kopa nyanye yebenyo ya jepa kopa nyanye bubue bubue kopa labo yebenyo yebenyo ya jepa ko wabi akopa mela jepa ko kopa le jepa la yebenyo babara kosi wane kama bitila salaja
Baye mapilo arena kosi rekhwele ukula ya dihlare arhlomben hlabo kule pilo barena bufu
yebenyo ya jepa ko
are kitsana mai pelo barona
opale jepa la yebenyo
Minutes into 12 midday Central African time. Music I call the music of the earth. Dabe Nahore, coming to you in her capacity as just a divine songstress. She represents Côte d'Ivoire, and she's been also embarking on a journey in France, doing a lot of work in France, a lot of ensemble work, a lot of collaborative work, which makes her just such a profound fit for this collaboration that she did with South African guitarist, vocalist, and a wholesome musician by the name of Vusi Mahlasela. So beautiful. It just sounds like they were born on the same land, which they were. The children of the soil is what we call them. Beautiful song titled Kokpa, and this is us gathered to talk all things agriculture this afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. If you started listening, you are tuned into Planting the Seed. We are in each other's company until 2 p.m. Almost said until midday. No, midday to 2 p.m. in Central African time. And it is always a pleasure to bring agricultural news and views to wherever you are. I thought we would start by really looking at the upcoming World Food Day that's happening on the 16th, and a very important occasion that really acknowledges food systems around the world. And I think this one is particularly important for the African continent. World Food Day, acknowledged on the 16th, as I'd mentioned, is celebrated in more than 150 countries around the world, with hundreds of events and initiatives, all promoting awareness of hunger and encouraging action for the future of food, people, as well as the planet, because it all comes together in that manner. World Food Day 2025 marks the Food and Agriculture Organization's 80th anniversary, with the theme Hand in Hand for Better Foods and Better Future, a call for increased collaboration and cooperation to transform agri-food systems.
This World Food Day carries a special meaning. It comes as FAO marks its 80th anniversary, founded in the aftermath of the World War II and the dominant hunger. FAO worked with countries and communities around the world to restore fields, replenish head, and bring food to the people's table. Today marks the 80th decade of learning, of sharing, of partnership, of turning knowledge into action and action into development. Better together, we have reached many historical milestones. We have, among others, eradicated rain-based and the cattle disease that once endangered food and threatened the income for tens of millions of farmers. We established the Codex Alimentarius, the body that set the standard and makes sure the food on your plate is safe to eat. Better together, we negotiated the international trade on plant genetic resources. I promised to protect seeds that farmers pass from hand to hand, from one generation to the next. Over the years, during the food price crisis, FAO worked with countries providing data and knowledge products and assisted to protect their livelihoods, and so much more. The challenges we face today are more complex and interconnected than ever before. In 2024, 673 million people worldwide were hungry. Conflict can erase the years of development. Drought or floods can push entire regions back into food insecurity. Rising prices means millions of families can no longer afford to eat. Hunger shows an empty plate, but leads to more consequences. It is a child who cannot go to school, a farmer forced to sell land, a family pushed from stability into poverty. Farmers need access to new technologies and markets. Countries need enabling policy with transparent data and reliable information. Partners need to align and tackle investments where they matter most. FAO's aspiration of the four betters, better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life are the compass for the decades ahead to ensure no one is left behind. Better production means giving farmers the tools and knowledge to produce more with less. Better nutrition ensures that what is produced is nourishing people and reducing the malnutrition in all forms. A better environment recognizes that agriculture must adapt to climate shocks while protecting soils, water, and biodiversity. A better life means lifting rural families out of poverty and giving dignity to the communities who feed the world. Dear friends, 80 years ago, nations believed hunger could be overcome through global collaboration. This remains at the core of FAO's noble mandate. During the past 80 years, FAO members' collective goal and our work prove that this shared commitment remains strong. By working together, hand in hand, progress is possible. Many countries continue to reduce hunger and malnutrition, boost food security, despite the growing challenges. Millions of smallholder farmers plant seeds, harvest the crops, and fish the rivers and seas to feed their families and communities. We know that the strongest solution emerges when we unite, across the borders, across generations, and across communities. Through the World Food Forum, FAO provided an inclusive platform where youth, science, innovation, and investment come together to turn the vision into action, to transform agri-food system and improve lives. A food secure future will not be given to us. It must be built by us. Built through the choice we make, built through the partnership we forge, built through the determination we bring. This year's World Food Day theme, Hand in Hand for Better Foods and a Better Future, is both a call to action and a validation of our shared commitment. Better together, let us honor 80 years of the progress by securing the next 80 years of food dignity and hope for all people, leaving no one behind.
Man, if you heard nothing else, I hope you heard him say, we are leaving no one behind. Very important. The voice of Food and Agricultural Organization Director General, Kyu Dong-yu. Okay, and he was really speaking about the importance of World Food Day as a global initiative, and also a celebration, if you will, of how far food systems have come, but also acknowledging the work that still needs to be done to really ensure that people are fed around the world. We cannot look at World Food Day and also not talk about, hunger and how it persists in so many communities around the world, and of course here on the African continent equally. 26 minutes into 12 midday in Central African time, still with the Food and Agriculture Organization. They're working very hard, okay, on all sorts of things around the world, including Green Cities, an initiative that envisions vibrant and inclusive cities where urban green and productive spaces catalyze biodiversity, climate resistance, social cohesion, as well as economic prosperity, bringing the gap between citizens and nature and between urban and rural areas as well. So they really are doing their bit to make sure that this is a cohesive ecosystem, as it were. The mission of the Food and Agricultural Organization, GCI, by the year 2030 is to make a tangible impact on the health and well-being of people in 1,000 cities we're actively addressing urbanization challenges. This GCI mission, as we understand it, is achieved by integrating urban and peri-urban forestry, agriculture, and bioeconomic into the bioeconomy, I want to say, into the fabric of urban life as we witness it in many places and spaces. This audio that you're about to hear really is a blend of just real stories. So it's kind of a story time. Real stories that are going to take you as a listener on a transformative walk through reimagined urban life.
As cities grow, so must solutions for how we live in them. This is a green city. Built for people, powered by nature, and designed for a changing climate. Let's take a walk. In green cities, innovation is everywhere. People live in sustainable timber homes, connected by green corridors that cool the streets and clean the air. Artificial intelligence monitors urban forests and water resources. Food grows in rooftop farms and vertical gardens, just steps from home. In green cities, nothing goes to waste. Organic scraps become compost, energy, and animal feed. Black soldier fly larvae transform food waste into protein and fertilizer. Hydroponics grow vegetables without soil and with minimal water. Green cities are inclusive. They work for everyone. They improve health and well-being. They lessen storm impacts and lower temperatures. And stars are visible in the night sky, clear of air pollution and excessive light. From Rome to San José dos Campos, and from Beijing to Johannesburg, cities are scaling up innovative solutions for urban forests, sustainable food markets, energy, transportation and waste. A green cities movement is growing worldwide. More cities are connecting to expand knowledge, finance and action for sustainable green urban development. The future is green. Join the Green Cities Initiative. Let's create cities where people and nature thrive together.
Very just mind-blowing concept. Green Cities Initiative. I mean, I see this idea really spreading in so many places. If you think about how many food markets we actually have on the African continent, can you actually imagine if Green Cities as an initiative just grows into a vibrant, very inclusive idea in some of the most neglected fruit and vegetable markets on the African continent. Very important initiative by the Food and Agriculture Organization. In fact, we're working on the show to get somebody from the organization to really talk about and unpack the idea behind Green Cities Initiative. But also, as we close, just some ideas on how we can acknowledge the upcoming World Food Day. Please diarize it, 16th of October this year, as per, okay? And also beautiful to see that it also coincides with the anniversary of the Food and Agriculture Organization, who are celebrating 80 years of this work in regeneration, in food sustainability themes, in agriculture, in regenerative futures within the space as well. But ways in which we can celebrate as African people is really finding ways to promote food security and nutrition, celebrate local food cultures, empower farmers and young people. That is so important considering the demographic across the regions. Raise awareness of challenges and solutions around hunger and agriculture is another important one. So just 4 things that you can do, but if you can come up with more, you're welcome to share them in our suggestion box at Channel Africa 1, hashtag planting the seed or planting the seed CA. That's us on Twitter, so that we can track the conversation with you. When we come back, we're going to look at a wonderful initiative by the South African breweries. We've had them previously, and they spoke about their initiative in a small town known as Daum in South Africa, and them working with other organizations like Farm Soul. So we're going to be speaking to Farm Soul and getting an idea of their involvement in this particular initiative, the work of Farm Soul. I really would like us to profile the organization as well, so we can get a deep understanding as to how this is going to benefit the communities in Daum going forward. The managing director, Aaron Koli, is going to be joining me on the line for a discussion in a moment.
Welcome to Planting the Seed with Mmatsheko Mosito on Channel Africa.
wayesengiphendula buyele ekhaya nsizwa umuzi kababa uyasho uyaphela awema ngabe umuzi kababa uqedwe yini na awema ngabe umuzi kababa ushabalaliswe yini na awema angeke balunge Jubane sengibeke khona ngikelele emfuleni iyokhamanzi ngivusa ikhaya umuzi kababa usho uyaphela gijima gijima umuzi kababa usho uyaphela gijima nsizwa umuzi kababa washo wanqunqa waphela aye umuzi kababa uqedwa yini na mawe ngabe umuzi kababa ushabalaliswe yini na wema wema igelele kha gijima yosika angeke balunge angeke balunge lamathathi baphethwe ngusatha sanje gijima yosika angeke balunge angeke balunge oh yelele mama gijima umuzi kababa washo waphela gijima nsizwa umuzi kababa washo wanqunqa waphela ingabe umuzi kababa uqedwa yini na ingabe umuzi kababa ushabalaliswa yini na
Broadcasting in 5 different languages, connecting the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Fala tudo que se can, cobana yes afaya.
Moving through the Gambia with the music of Sona Jobate with Saya, and she's amazing. She is the only feminine from this part of the world that plays the kora at the standard, generally known as a masculine instrument. So it's so beautiful to play this music that really fits the mandate of our show. Really just so beautiful. Gijima by one of Africa's greatest songwriters, in my personal opinion, Joe Nina from South Africa with Gijima coming through, which in the Guni language means to run. Here we are running fast to really chase progression, if I could put it that way. Welcome to Agricultural Programming on a Sunday, and we in each other's company until 2. My name is Mmatsheko Mosito, and very excited to be in conversation today, looking at an organization that has truly become a catalyst, I think, for agricultural transformation here in South Africa. So Daung, or in Daung, Farm Soul is helping smallholder farmers make the vital leap from subsistence to commercial farming, that's a big leap, okay? When we look at how they are providing not only access to land, preparing tools and mechanization, but also mentorship. Okay, capacity building, technical support, and access to guaranteed markets through partnerships like the South African breweries. So from unlocking interest-free loans to coordinating efficient machinery use, Farm Soul is planting the seeds of sustainable growth, empowerment, as well as food security, one farmer at a time. And it's very wonderful that we get to explore this model and see how it is not only doing the work, but also important that it's reshaping livelihoods, and the lessons that are held in the story are very powerful for the future when we look at inclusive agricultural development. On the line with me, I've got the pleasure of chatting to the Managing Director of Farm Soul, Mr. Aaron Koli, who's made time via video Zoom to have a conversation with me. Welcome to Agricultural Programming. A wonderful afternoon to you, Mr. Aaron. Thank you so much for joining me.
Good afternoon, Mmatsheko, and I hope you are well.
I'm good. Thank you very much. Such wonderful work that you're doing through Farm Soul. But I think before we get into the wonderful collaborative work between Farm Soul and the South African breweries, let's talk about Farm Soul as an entity and how it has become a key player in helping smallholder farmers to scale up at a level that really matters.
Mmatsheko, I mean, thank you firstly for the opportunity to be able to talk to us as well. But just to give you a bit of a background about FarmSol, FarmSol is an agricultural development services company. We are an implementing partner to the South African breweries, of course, but specifically on smallholder farmer support, right? So our focus in partnership with the South African breweries is to really, link emerging farmers in particular to the broader value chain in the food and beverage space, because we really want them to also be the raw material supplier, in the food and beverage space. So this we do in a number of ways with the certain breweries, and this we do firstly by providing the technical know-how, the knowledge in terms of how to actually do plant, access to funding, and of course also access to market. So in a nutshell, that's what we do, agricultural development, but we also are an implementing partner, particularly implementing their farmer development program.
That is very important work, and I think for the community of Dawoong, this has been a long time coming. But
Okay.
yes, let's have. I mean, I want us to take a quick break because we want to try and get you back on video. But when we return, I actually want to explore this model a bit more because there's some really interesting and creative aspects to the model, and the gap that you were trying to close as well within the ecosystem. We're back after this.
The Midnight Snack, 12 to 3 a.m.
Our fitness coach, her name is Yvonne Dimakatso Pasha. How to remain consistent with gyms, Dima, and I'm going to put you on the spot right now. As we are talking, I will send you my picture and I want you to tell me what you think I should work on. Because, when I look at myself, Dima, I think I'm very handsome. I'm so good looking. Oh my goodness. Like here at Channel Africa where I work, I think I'm one of the most good looking people ever. Like sometimes when I look at myself in the mirror, I never get used to how good I look. I'm just amazing.
You're okay with the way you're looking. You wish people could and now you want to put me on the spot.
Do I need gym?
Yeah. I mean, if you can just consider eating healthy, cutting down a few foodstuffs such as junk.
The Midnight Snack, every Monday, 12 to 3 a.m. with Chanduko Ligege. Agri-tech, innovation, and the voices growing Africa's food future. Planting the seed with Mmatsheko Mosito every Sunday from 12 to 2 p.m. only on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Welcome back to Planting the Seed as we revive the culture in agriculture. Every Sunday we are here between 12 and 2 and really pouring into our seeds and talking all things regenerative futures. We are in conversation with the managing director of Farm Soul, and his name is Aaron Kohli, and we've really just been unpacking how Farm Soul, the organization which he is directing, is really doing wonderful things to transform agriculture in the small town of Dawoong here in South Africa. So Farm Soul is helping smallholder farmers make the vital leap from subsistence to commercial farming, and this is all to provide access to land, to prepare tools, mechanization, basically capacity building that really matters. Things like mentorship, as I'd mentioned earlier, that really support and guarantee that whatever partnerships that they're going to be getting into are going to be fruitful for the community. And speaking of partnerships, they of course have partnered with the South African breweries to really unlock these wonderful mechanizations to take themes around food security and thriving farming spaces to the next level. Aaron, welcome back. I did say just before we took a break that I'd like us to delve deeper into the creation of this model, and also as you unpack that, I'd also like to find out what gap you were seeing in the South African agricultural ecosystem, particularly Kotawung, that you really wanted to close through this model?
Well, I mean, firstly, if you look at Taung itself as an area, there's really nothing much happening there in terms of industry. But what is there is good agricultural land. So there is huge potential there, and there is actually available land and water. If you know Taung, there's actually the Vaal River close by, and there's a big irrigation scheme that have been there for years in Taung. But of course, one of the biggest issue is, that the farmers would lack, the necessary know-how, the technical training to be able to plant, but more so also the funding, to be able to produce these crops. But of course, then once you also have the funding, then you then lack the market. And it is where we saw the gap, in partnership with the Southern breweries to come in, join hands and support, the farmers in Taung, because we can see that the potential is there. And over the years, we've actually witnessed quite good progress in the area. Yes.
Okay. Elaborate on just the specifics in terms of the kind of impact that has been made by Farm Soul.
Yeah. Well, firstly, I mean, we are an agronomy-focused company, so. All in all, what we do firstly is to ensure that the farmers are trained, well equipped to be able to farm themselves. So we would then unlock that by ensuring that there is firstly modern production inputs like seed, like fertilizer, that the farmers can be able to access and that they can be able to plant. And then over and above that, once they've been able to plant, then they would ensure that there is a market. And in this instant, the farmers there would be planting crops such as barley, which is required for the brewing of beer. And then hence then this barley is then supplied to certain breweries, But of course, the challenges are not only from the need for training, only the need for funding, but also one of the biggest constraints is around mechanization. And that's where also we've come on board, in partnership with the Southern breweries to, enable and empower farmers themselves to be able to actually have the means, to be able to plant themselves, because in the past they could not be able to do that.
Okay. So in terms of this partnership with South African breweries, it sounds very, very important. In fact, it is very important, in terms of, I think as you'd mentioned in your response there, creating guaranteed market, for farmers, which is essential to the bottom line of this work. How has this relationship evolved between FarmSol and SAB in terms of the work that you're doing? And what does it mean for long-term sustainability and I guess also just instilling farmer confidence going forward?
Look, it has involved, and I think I'm particularly proud of the milestones that we have achieved in partnership with the South African breweries. I mean, when we started there in Taung, for the first years, the yields were really very, very low, very poor yields. And when we started there, like I said, with the issue of mechanization, the farmers were relying on external contractors to be able to just do basic farming stuff. But today, as I speak with you now, the yields have improved and the farmers are able to generate incomes, that can be able to then support their families. And we speak now today, farmers having, themselves having, equipment that they own themselves that allows them to be able to farm themselves without actually relying on any external, contractors. So those are some of the achievements and the milestones that we've seen over the years. And of course, whatever that is being produced in that area is all of it taken by certain breweries.
Okay, that is a very good story, a very good South African success story, I want to say, in the space of farming. Aaron, talk to me about the young people in Taung, because, and I think this is a universal story across many regions on the continent. There are many young people who are still very hesitant to enter the farming space because it's not glamorous, it's not corporate, it really is getting down into the soil and doing the work. So talk to me about FarmSol and what you are doing to attract, but also very importantly to retain the youth, especially in rural areas like Taung.
Look, I mean, that is actually very true. And, it's quite a very important question, because one of the most important things that you need, especially in farming, because it's so generational, you really achieve success over a long period of time. So we've invested quite a lot of time and effort, firstly, by ensuring that we do training. I mean, we have a very, in my view, quite a very exciting program, training that we call a successor training, where actually we encourage, and firstly we do advise the current older farmers to actually bring their young ones along, to farming operations, for them to be able to see, for them to be able to learn. So we've seen quite some interest in young farmers being eager to participate, coming along with the older, much more experienced farmers. But also internally, we do have what we call a youth ambassador program, where we have young farmers within our program who actually engage with other young, farmers, because they then can be able to share, advices and encourage one another. So there's a number of ways, but we definitely are seeing a much more increased interest in the program for farmers to be able to participate, and especially in Taung. I mean, you'd be surprised that, in actual fact, young people, when I'm there, they are the ones that come to me and say,
Oh, wow.
you know what, we definitely want to take over at some point, and we want to start learning and knowing exactly what is happening, in those fields. So it's quite exciting to see that interest.
Okay, that is fascinating. That is not a response that I would have imagined. And also, as you mentioned, Aaron, it's so important to recognize agriculture as a generational effort. Not just a business
Yes.
for the sake of it, which also just adds to the value of this work for the future, and the future of farming, and these green cities that we're going to see come up all over the world.
Absolutely.
Yes, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yes. So
Continuity is very important in agriculture. Absolutely, Mmatsheko.
totally. Okay, as we wrap up, Aaron, let's talk about your vision. Your vision for Farm Soul, because I get a sense, I mean, this is our first conversation, but you're very expansive in the way you think about agriculture, and particularly farming. Your vision for Farm Soul and the communities that you're serving. Let's look at maybe a 5 to 10 year timeline, if you may. How do you see the story of Taung evolve, and the participation of Farm Soul in the now and the future?
Look, firstly, I mean, I guess for farming, a lot of people that want to get into farming is a dream for them. And for us to be able to, create opportunities for people to realize that dream is exactly what we want. For people to be able to really get into what they really want to do, and open up doors for them to be able to participate. And then of course we cannot talk about that excluding young people. Because it's young people who are the future. So we need to create that room for them to be able to participate, because they are actually much more less resourced than the current farmers that we do have, because they come from absolutely nothing. For me, my vision, I mean, look, especially in communities such as Taung, and we've seen quite progress, but for farmers to be truly farmers in their own right, to create the futures that they want to see, and this by having the necessary equipment, their own equipment, that they can be able to farm themselves, and they don't actually sit on the sideline, and they just have a field or a piece of land, but they cannot really actually do the work themselves. So in particular for me, I mean, look, to see, and I've already started seeing that in actual fact quite recently, but I want to have that having increased young people who are actually the children of the current farmers that we have coming along, and
Right.
I'm quite excited by the fact that even last week I was approached by one farmer who's been very successful, who said, look, I'm going to continue doing my own farming, but can you please then consider this child of mine who has proven himself, who want to participate in the program. So that type of succession for me, is quite important. That there's a vision that we want to see, having more young people participating and taking, the cue from their fathers, so that they can, or their mothers as well, which of course that is also important. We want also, more women to participate, but for me, to have more young people being involved, and, ensuring that there's continuation, over a long period of time.
Okay. It sounds wonderful. It was really so good to catch up with you, Aaron, and to not only find out about the collaborative work, but really what FarmSol stands for in your philosophy around building agricultural businesses in the space of farming particularly, but making them sustainable. Thank you so much. All the best with this collaboration with SAB. Very, very important. And hopefully we'll have another chat in the year 2026 and talk about more success stories that you have built over time.
Would really
Yes.
appreciate that. Yes.
Thank you very much. The voice of Aaron Godley joining me in his capacity as the managing director of FarmSol. So really just incredible work in Dawoong, which is much of it is rural. But Aaron started the conversation by saying, yes, there isn't capacity, or there hasn't been capacity rather, but there is a lot of agricultural land, which already tells us that we've got the resources that we need, and we've got everything we need. We just need to align people with the land and get things going, and that's exactly what FarmSol has been doing through their collaboration with SAB, really just bringing smallholder farming to the fore, and it's moving out of, and it's just a pity we've run out of time, but it's a conversation we can pick up on at any given time in the future, and really talk about how they're moving from smallholder to commercial, because that's where this is going. This is the ultimate goal of this work. But always a pleasure to really find out about collaborations at this level, the kind that matter, the kind that are really pulling people out of poverty into abundance and into economic participation, and really sort of building people in this manner and building livelihoods. I'd like us to take a break. When we return, we're going to be talking how our good friends at Food and Trees for Africa are also building capacities, but for young people in primary school and in high school through their EduPlant initiative.
Africa, voici Abedi.
Oui, c'est moi.
Abedi est un passionné de musique dans l'âme. Il a un goût pour toutes sortes de musique et passe ses journées à écouter Channel Africa.
J'aime beaucoup la musique africaine.
Ok. Devinez quoi? Channel Africa veut aider Abedi et les mélomanes du monde entier à découvrir encore plus de musique incroyable. C'est pourquoi Channel Africa appelle les artistes africains à soumettre leur musique. Chers artistes, n'oubliez pas de nous fournir toutes vos informations pertinentes à l'email adresse musique@channelafrica.co.za. Les soumissions sont votre chance d'être entendues, mais elles ne garantissent pas une playlist. Toutes les soumissions seront soigneusement examinées pour voir si elles répondent aux exigences de notre station. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
We are reviving the culture in agriculture with Planting the Seed every Sunday on Channel Africa.
If person tell me say I go fall for a woman like you, I go say in papa, mama, brother, sister, thunder, fire, all of them. Because this kind thing where you the do. I been no say you go fit move me. She not only me, but you like overdo. She sweet you as you told me to move. That like the woman that I like. I feel no make everything alright. But if there's anything I can do, I saw be do I'm with my mind. Oh, let me jaw, don't be shy. You know you sweet my antenna. You must meet my antenna, my antenna, my antenna. Now you gon' let me be your one and only. You gon' let me be your one and only, baby. Ooh, baby. Couple goes not small. When we start our love, Rihanna go say she want her like this, oh. Couple goes not small. When we start our love, Beyonce go say she want her like this, oh. Hey, I just want to know if there be any chance for me and you. I just want to know, no, if there be any chance for me and you. Are you gon' let me be your one and only, baby? there's anything I can do. I saw me do, I'm with my mind. Let me try, don't be shy. You know you sweet my antenna. You must meet my antenna, my antenna, my antenna. How you gon' let me be your one and only, baby. Oh, baby. How you gon'
We are reviving the culture in agriculture with Planting the Seed every Sunday on Channel Africa.
Eight minutes into 1 p.m. in Central African time. Thank you for staying with us here on Planting the Seed as we revive the culture in agriculture. It is tradition here on Channel Africa for us to talk all things agriculture. It's been, what, a good 3 years, 3+ years, in fact, of doing this work. And here we are until 2 p.m. in Central African time. Very excited to be catching up with our good friends at Food and Trees for Africa after quite a while that we haven't spoken. But there's always something happening within this wonderful non-governmental organization. And today we are in celebration. Okay, today we are celebrating the spirit of youth, learning and sustainability when we look at the National EduPlant Finals, as hosted by Food and Trees for Africa and proudly sponsored by Tiger Brands. So this is an event that marks, or rather that marked, because it took place earlier in the week. And it's all about a culmination of a 2-year journey, as we understand it, one that has seen schools from across all the 9 provinces here in South Africa cultivate not just food gardens, but living classrooms where learners are encouraged to explore the deep connection between soil, nutrition, and community well-being. At the heart of this initiative is Robin Hill. Okay, she joins us in her capacity as the communications head from Food and Trees for Africa, which essentially the work behind this organization is about re-greening spaces, greening education, empowering communities as well, if I could put it that way. And they've been doing this for many decades. Through the EduPlant program, they're also nurturing a generation of young environmental stewards, planting the seeds of food security, climate consciousness, and I think also very important, hope for the future. A pleasure to catch up with Robin this afternoon. Robin Hills, welcome to Channel Africa. Pleasure to speak to you.
Thank you, Mmatsheko. Thank you for having me. I'm incredibly passionate about both nature and the environment and agriculture, and the synergy of those 3 things at the EduPlant is an incredibly beautiful thing to witness.
It really is beautiful, Robin, and congratulations on another successful EduPlant cycle. I mentioned a little bit of, just how I understand EduPlant and the work that's been done through the Food and Trees for Africa. Talk to us about, I guess for those that are not familiar, if I could put it that way, just briefly give us an additional into what I've just mentioned around EduPlant as a program and what makes it so important as a mission.
The EduPlant program has been running for the last 30 years, and the last 5 years has been with Tiger Brands as our headline partner. And the methodology is about supporting school food gardening in a way that supports teachers, because ultimately, especially in under-resourced areas, teachers have a limited capacity, and we want the garden to be a place of creativity and innovation, a place where children can experiment with planting new seeds, growing in regenerative ways, and making the curriculum come alive for both educators and learners. And we're seeing this happen especially in pre-vocational and special schools, because the children have the opportunity to heal in nature, grow their own food, empower themselves through the skills development that Food and Trees for Africa offers through the EduPlant program. And one of the most wonderful ways that we do this is by sending facilitators to the schools and running workshops with the educators and the kids, because it's a hands-on approach. Children and teachers alike have to practically demonstrate and check out the spacing of your seeds, witness how companion plants and rotation works, because if we don't do things practically, we don't always retain the value of those skills, So we add these layers of theory of permaculture as well as the practical demonstrations. And we also see how the EduPlant supports schools who mentor other schools. So that kind of multiplier effect into the community is also a strengthening activity, because we want these districts to be able to stand alone after our 2 years, and we want to be able to move into other areas and other circuits across the country. And the school teachers are real community heroes. They go above and beyond by supporting creative children in their public speaking. So the EduPlant is a 2-year program, and it culminates in this competition because we want to be able to select the best, right? So we've supported 300 schools across the country, and then they apply, they send a portfolio of evidence, they prove that they've applied all of the permaculture techniques, they've engaged with community members, they've strengthened their food production, they've inculcated diversity, they've built their soil, and now they get to tell the story. And the children have the most creative and ingenious ways of telling the challenges and solutions that they face. They use drama and skits and humor. And I got to be the moderator. So the judging panel constituted seven adults from various sectors and backgrounds. So we had Manda Malubi from Tiger, who's an enterprise development guru, and we had Stark Airs represented, and Food and Trees trainers and previous principals who had won. We had our head judge, who was Barati Tug from Durban, and she has been an HOD and she's been with EduPlant for the last 30 years. So the knowledge in that room and the gentle care that each judge took to engage with the children and ask them, you spoke about compost, tell me more about that. And it showcased the kids' knowledge. And we're so proud of Delopie Pre-Vocational School from Soweto, because they got first prize. And they got prize money of 40 grand. So we're going to follow up with them how they're going to use those funds. And then first prize for a cluster school. So these are new schools that have only been with us for 2 years, was Molefe Moke Primary School. And they also got huge prize money of 30 grand. So we had 15 winners, all taking prize money home, and the very prestigious trophies and the name of best permaculture school in South Africa.
This is so amazing. First of all, you are just an incredible storyteller. Oh my goodness. I could listen to you speak about EduPlant for 4 hours. And I think because it holds such a rich heritage and history in terms of the impact of the work in school, greening and food gardening programs, that there's a lot to talk about. But I'm very just interested in what you were saying, Robin, around how this program because it sounds to me like it also encourages healthy competition amongst the children and using storytelling as a vehicle as well to tell these stories. We've seen a lot of similar programs over the years, Robin, when it comes to regreening schools, food gardening programs really come up and look like they've got the potential to last for 30 years, like EduPlant, but then they fall by the wayside. Why do you think that is? And what do you think makes this particular model that you've built over decades much more real, much more creative and effective at community level?
It's a really good question. I think the historical strengths and the structure of the program as one of the programs that Food and Trees for Africa offers it means that there's a huge amount of experience in our team. I think that helps. Yes. We've been incredibly lucky over the years. In the 90s, we were funded by Eskom, and then for 13 years by the Woolworths Trust, and now with Tiger Brands for the last 5 years. It means that every donor that comes on board trusts the process. Right. They trust our expertise, and we've done a series of monitoring and evaluation explorations twice with Trialogue, and they've also given pointers, and we're always open to trying to improve and innovate where we've needed to in terms of ensuring that impact and making sure that we can track and measure whether the EduPlant, the program itself, has improved the food gardens and how. And that's, I think, really where one of the newest strengths lies, in being able to measure before and after the 2-year program. The challenge of creating school food gardens is a huge one. Gardens, like children, need lots of TLC. And if a school doesn't have the capacity, a garden will fall flat. And it's easy to waste money because without doing due diligence, without doing that really diligent pre-assessment and evaluation of each school that comes onto the program, then people can make mistakes. But we're really lucky in that we've been able to learn from our predecessors. Obviously, the team at the moment is not the same team as that started the EduPlant in 1994. But we've honored the executive director who came before Chris Wilde, Jeunesse Park, whose vision for environmentalism in South Africa was incredible. Her ability to foresee how climate change and ecological care needed to happen for every school, for every learner, for every South African, that being an environmentalist is not something that should only happen for middle class and people who can access those things. It shouldn't be a privilege. It's a right. Yes. And it's enshrined in our constitution. And I think when those sorts of ethics are guided by a deep sense of responsibility and morality, that we're able to follow the path that we're supposed to. For me, it's my destiny to work at Food and Trees for Africa, and I know that our team feels that way. Every single person, from the assessor on the telephone to our trainers in the field, it is our huge honor to be part of the skills development that takes children back to nature and takes our schools back to the outdoors, so that a full ecosystem can nurture the garden and nurture our minds and nurture our positivity, because the world is a difficult and challenging place. But nature, for me and for our trainers and for the teachers and children who are part of the EduPlant, Mother Nature is our mother, and
Right.
we give back to that by giving back to the soil and observing. Yeah, it's an important thing.
It really is so, so important. And, I mean, you talk about capacity and you talk about, you can have access to the funding, but if you don't know how to nurture that so that it can nurture the gardens, then it's not going to work. That's very important to have mentioned, Robin. Partnerships, a very vital thing in terms of sustaining programs like this. And I think you alluded to this very eloquently in your response. But let's talk about what has been the collaboration or the benefit of this collaboration with Tiger Brands. What has this meant, especially with this particular run that you've had? What has it meant for EduPlant's reach and also longevity? Because we're talking about a 30-year legacy here that is ongoing, that's continuing for another 80 years, if not more.
Yes, I think it will. I think it will continue to grow. I know Tiger Brands has a very strategic approach to their corporate social investment in terms of the Tiger Brand Foundation that provides breakfasts, and that is a huge network of schools where they get supported at the kitchen level. So gas stoves, access to pots, as well as all of the nutritional breakfast foods, and then they've got support at a university level and a couple of other really clearly defined nutrition-based CSI initiatives that Food and Trees for Africa and the EduPlant slotted in beautifully, because it's about accessing fresh food.
Yes.
So supply chain is a tricky thing for fresh produce, and the best way is to grow your own, right? So for children to access herbs and fruit and vegetables seasonally and organically is one of the outcomes of the EduPlant. So if children can, and community members and educators can grow their own, they can also duplicate those same activities and techniques in their home gardens. So knowing that you can grow your own food is one of the really nice ways that it complements the existing food supplies that Tiger Brands provides the whole of Africa through their supply chain, because it's not fresh, it's often canned produce and non-perishables, which are fantastic for carbs and proteins, and but for the nutrient levels of organic produce, I think the school gardening concept was one that they really, really value, and one that the school programs themselves value too, because diversity in our diet is really important. And a lot of these children have their national schools nutrition program. They have the breakfast and they have their gardens, so they're getting really, really valuable nutrients at school that they might not get at home. But they have the option of taking fresh produce home with them. And those kids as well, they love the garden. They value it not only as a lifeline, but as a place where they can have conversations with their teachers, where they can feel safe and heard, because creating spaces in a garden for sitting and listening and meditating and having the shade of a tree, where sometimes the dusty streets of under-resourced areas don't always have those spaces where people can be quiet and have a conversation. So a garden is a park, but it's also a food production site.
Man, this is just, I mean, I've got the biggest smile on my face, because in your response, I'm seeing it. That's exactly it. Gardens are more than just plots of land, They're really spaces for learning, for teamwork, for healing, as you mentioned, the meditative practices, the feeling heard and seen as a child, which is so important going into the future. But with that said, Robin, let's talk about Food and Trees for Africa and your revolution and how you are going to meet the challenge as we see it now. Of course, we're dealing with climate change now. Urbanization is another one that's just explosive. It's it's a giant now. I mean, nobody can stop that. But let's talk about the need for regenerative education as we try and navigate these challenges, as I'd mentioned.
Yeah, Food and Trees for Africa has been addressing climate change through food gardening, through market garden support, through tree planting and greening and carbon sequestration, as well as climate literacy. And we've got various departments for that. So the key thing about farming or market gardening, or even smaller scale school food gardens, is that access to water is becoming more and more challenging. And the use of grey water, the use of water harvesting techniques, using rainwater, one of the big techniques that we always encourage and provide infrastructure for is this sink, save, and store idea of water, because if we are putting in swales and planting on contour, we are submerging that water, we're increasing the humus levels in our soil, we're putting in water tanks, we're harvesting from the rain, and the rain has better water quality than municipal water, even though municipal water is sometimes, we have to supplement in the dry seasons. But what we're seeing is across the country, the biggest challenge for all farmers is not necessarily skills. It's definitely not access to land. It's access to consistent water, quality water that is not expensive. So that is one of the biggest challenges that we have on every single one of our farms, and it's the first thing that we evaluate before supporting any community-based food production sites is, do you have access to water? What does that water look like? How consistent is it? And then the methodology we used is always to install infrastructure while training in regenerative farm practices at the same time. So making sure that our facilitators, when they're teaching everything from creating a swale, putting in mulch pits, creating intercropping schedules, and installing a fence, is to make sure that the water is addressed, so that if we're putting in an irrigation system, the farmers know how to flush it. If we're putting in gutters for rainwater harvesting, they know how to make sure that the leaf trap is emptied. Because those technical skills, if those are missed out on, then we're not doing the service. We're not doing that community a service. And our facilitators are incredibly passionate about the work that they do, as well as very knowledgeable about permaculture principles. So yeah, we've got about 300 market gardens and community gardens across South Africa that are currently being supported in the form of workshops, and we plant about 34,000 trees across South Africa every single year. We're on 4.9 million trees over the last 30 years, and we want to keep that up. So, partnering with corporates, making sure that their CSI hits the ground in the most effective way is a wonderful journey, and an effective one.
Man, I think I'm going to go and have a little cry in the corner after this conversation. So wholesome. And I think it's so wonderful that it also falls on Garden Day. And we're talking about, gardens that are really feeding the nation. Nutrition is such an important pillar for everything. And I think particularly for young children. Robin, before I let you go, I would really love for you to share a message for young environmental champions and just following the success of EduPlant. What would you like to say to young people that feel the calling to really go outside, if I could put it that way, and really connect with nature, but also feed themselves, learn about themselves, but also learn about humanity's connection to nature and plants and food and the mountains and the hills? What message do you have for our environmental champions?
I think nature is all around us, and the first step is to connect with nature. As you say, there might not be a beautiful park in your neighborhood, but there will be a tree somewhere. And
Yes.
that tree has the message that you need to hear. Whatever it is, that whatever that question you might have, listen to the trees, whether it's on the wind, and don't give up. Just keep going. People often ask, in the face of climate change, how can you keep going? It all seems also insurmountable. Can we really make a difference? Yes, we can. Every single one of us absolutely can. Every choice that you make, every time you decide to recycle or pick up litter or join an eco club or go to that extramural after class, every time you do something positive in your life, sometimes it's harder, you're moving towards a solution that is going to better you and better the planet. And those two things are usually in alignment.
Always, always in alignment. Robin, thank you very much. All the best. And I think the wonderful thing about Food and Trees for Africa is the work is ongoing. Okay, it's not one project and then 6 months later something. The work is continuous, and there are so many initiatives that you're working on, education and skills, the climate action work that you mentioned that's ongoing, the CSI wings that you're doing, and ESG. All that information on trees.org.za should you be interested to find out about the work, perhaps contribute your expertise. Maybe you can click on that donate button and donate the kind of money that folds, not the kind that jingles, as I love to say. So click the donate button, make a donation today, and let's really keep gardens going. It's very, very important as we try and regreen the African continent. Robin, a pleasure to have connected with you. Thank you very much for giving me so much of your valuable time. I appreciate it.
Mmatsheko, the work that you do is amazing. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Thank you very much. The voice of Robin Hills, joining us in her capacity as the spokeswoman for this wonderful organization, Food and Trees for Africa. And we're really just celebrating the 30-year legacy of EduPlant, which has just grown in South Africa, and it's become such a beautiful example of impact work when it comes to school, greening, and food gardening programs, which is a big umbrella for the work that we are seeing at Food and Trees for Africa. So don't forget to visit the website should you be interested in finding out more about the work, trees.org.za.
Weekends just got better. Only on Channel Africa.
Sihamba malahle siveleta la kupayi sangela tawa kuqa hey babe what is izuba malahle zuba malahle stimela labo sihamba malahle siveleta la kupayi helele sangela tawa kuqa hey babe what is izuba malahle Stimela, siteli ndengezi, siyana le mambe. Let me go yeah, mama, but it's stimela. Sikane nisi, zetu baba, masibu yole ne tologo. Kale nisi masibu yole ne tologo. Sikane lama cheri eti mama bo, masibu yole ne tologo. Sikane lama zani wetu, bari chala siele wolo bo. Stimela, siyamba ngamalahle, siveleta la Stimela, siyamba ngamalahle, siveleta Stimela, siyamba ngamalahle, siveleta Hele mari stimela, 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 stimela mama, stimela, siyamba ngamalahle, siveleta Mama di stimela mama, stimela, siyamba ngamalahle, siveleta bye. Stimela, siyamba ngamalahle, siveleta
From the soil to smart tech, young Africans are leading the agri-revolution. Mmatsheko Mosito on Planting the Seed with vibrant stories and expert voices. Sundays, noon to 2 p.m. only on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Some beautiful Southern African sounds coming through as we approach 1:45 in Central African time. Coming through with the legend himself, the late, great, iconic man of the music, Brakuma Sekela, coming through with Stimela, the live version of that song. Amanda Black as well, Power. That song is just, it's become global now. I've heard it in so many places around the world. So talk about Africa representing, okay? This is where the sound meets the soil as we talk all things agriculture. Every Sunday we're here between 12 and 2, and my name is Mmatsheko Mosito. Happy to host the show for you. Garden Day. Garden Day is today, the 12th of October, is recognized in South Africa as National Garden Day, okay? And it is an annual celebration of gardens. And today, and this year in particular, marks its 10th annual celebration, or its 10th anniversary this year in 2025. It began a decade ago, as I'd mentioned, as a small little festivity of gardens that have grown into national movements. You know, people are gardening everywhere for different reasons and purposes. So this is really to inspire a lot of people, millions of people, in fact, to step out, to go outside and to recreate, to reconnect rather with the green spaces that surround us, whether it is a flower garden or a herbal garden or a vegetable garden, whatever the case is. This annual observance also offers the perfect moment for reflection, to reflect on your own personal journey and how you are being shaped through your connection with nature, with gardening, with the plants, with the soil, as it were. So there is our wonderful colleagues at SABC Television, okay, that got to catch up with somebody who's really respected in the space of horticulture. She's a horticulturalist. Her name is Gundula Ditchlainder, and I thought we could play that insert and really get to kind of find out about her work as a horticulturalist, and also how she has participated in regreening spaces, and of course Garden Day for the year 2025. Here we go.
Tomorrow marks the 10th annual Garden Day celebration, and what began a decade ago as a small festivity of gardens has now grown into a nationwide movement, inspiring millions to stop, to step outside and just reconnect with green spaces. This anniversary offers the perfect moment to reflect not only on the journey so far, but also on the trends shaping the way that we garden today. But perhaps to share a little bit more, we're going to be joined by Babylonsteren's Master Gardener, Gundula Deutschlander. Gundula, very good morning. Thank you for joining us. I know you're joining us via hybrid this morning.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. It's a wonderful weekend for us, so I'm happy to share.
Yes, well, I know that this garland, of course, is just a teaser of the gift that, we get through gardens. And I wonder if we could look at how tomorrow, in fact, now marking a decade of Garden Day, what the journey's been like, how it's grown as well, and why this day continues to resonate so strongly with South Africans alike.
Well, Garden Day initially started 10 years ago, celebrating people's backyards and their balconies and the grandparents. But we can really see how it's grown, particularly in communal fashion. I think urban spaces needing green hubs is valuable. People wanting to have more food security and getting together and growing things to ensure that there's healthy food to have. Plant parents, of course, the millennials and the Gen Zs, they're all kind of in love with their little plant parents, the plant pots that they have at home, and seed sharing and swapping cuttings. So I think also the more we live in a polarized environment and are dehumanized by things, like AI intervening and the fear of grabbing our jobs, we're trying to find things that can just root us to our foundations, and our connection with nature is just so healing.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
The answer.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's such a good reminder, poignant reminder. And I'm even just looking at the evolution of what some of the trends are, right? So when you're shaping gardening today, but even just the incorporation of rooftop spaces, because it's about reimagining spaces as well, right? There's the incorporation of microgreens, greens that transport pavements as well, rooftops into hubs. Can you also share a little bit more about that journey and evolution?
It's a creativity. So, I mean, imagine if people left the world, how quickly will nature come back again? But we want to encourage this relationship with nature. And so whichever space you have, no matter how big or small, you can really green it up. Roofs are challenging because you need water up there. But if one cleverly figures out how to do that, and soil improvement and making your own compost, I think is the gem of it all. So I think we're challenged with our own environment, but we want to have this greenness in. So whatever space people have, and the rooftop, if it's available and it's the only available space, claim it, make it your own.
Yeah. Well, Gundula, I also want to bring in another factor that you mentioned, but perhaps play devil's advocate and look at how AI apps and irrigation apps are actually helping to also, make gardening smarter, perhaps be used as a tool as well. Anything you can add on that front?
Yeah, well, I think there's so many schools that are donated trees, and there are municipality projects where they're planting trees in the streets. But often those trees just end up dying if they don't get irrigated properly. And so these AI tools are very beneficial. They can be probes that are in the ground, and they will alert people when the soil humidity is too low. And so it really assists in the kind of larger scale of things. I think our own small backyard gardens, this is still our own observations that are of extreme value. But when you're looking at a bigger project, these AI tools can be very beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Gundula, thank you for joining us. It's going to be interesting to see how people show up to celebrate Garden Day tomorrow. Gundula Doshla.
9 minutes to go till it is 2 p.m. in Central African time, the perfect time for us to check in with what's coming up on our sporting program. But I just wanted to mention that was an insert. Of course, Leanne presenting it for SABC television. They are or were yesterday acknowledging today as Garden Day. Today is National Garden Day, and we are observing it under its 10th year anniversary. It's been 10 years of Garden Day. So our theme on the show is Green Fingers. Share with us whatever you're planting, whatever you're doing, whether it's a medicinal garden or a flower garden. I would love to see what you are embarking on. It is that time, 8 minutes to go until it is 2 p.m. for us to catch up with the best sports show in the land. NETO in his chairman's chair, ready to come through with Africa at Play after 2.
A very good afternoon, MM, and a very good afternoon to all the Channel Africans. We are looking forward to an exciting edition of Africa at Play on this exciting Sunday afternoon. We will be talking to my man Alfred Phiri, former professional footballer, who is the instigator or the brain behind the Maimane Alfred Phiri Games, also shortened for the MAP Games. We are talking the 21st edition of this tournament, and it is a tournament that has produced stars. There's players like Khomolemo, who plays for Mamelodi Sundowns, who's part of the under-20 team. He played in this tournament when he was still under 13, so he's got under 13, 15, 17, and 19. We will be having that conversation to find out about the preparations for this year's edition. We'll also cross over to Levi Mwanawasa Stadium in Zambia. Chipolopolo will be playing against Niger in match day 10 of the ongoing Africa qualifiers, FIFA World Cup qualifiers. It is a dead rubber for Zambia. They will not be on that flight to the US, Mexico, and Canada, but they will be playing for pride. And we'll also get to speak to a gentleman called Zayim Koopman, who is just 11 years. And I call him a gentleman because one day when he's a superstar, he will remember that it all began on Africa at Play, our bundle of joy in sport, who plays for Stars of Africa. Africa at Play,
man, can I just say, we give hope on this radio station, okay? Giving hope for food gardens, and then giving hope for sportsmen and women. Every single weekend, Africa at Play comes through with Neto Chemani exclusively to Channel Africa. Catch it on Saturdays just after 2 p.m. Central African time, and on Sundays at the same time, same place, right here at home. Thank you very much for tuning in. Agricultural programming wraps up here, but we have shared links with you for our conversations. We spoke to the MD of Farm Soul at just at the start of the show, really looking at the work that they're doing in the rural town of Dawoong here in South Africa, and of course looking at regreening school gardens through EduPlant with our good friends from Food and Trees for Africa. It was a pleasure to have you join us. Please check out the links for those conversations on our YouTube channel. Channel Africa is where you can find all the links for the show. It was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much to Tali Butelezi, who made sure that we look good on social media. Thank you to Tido Makau for making sure that technical operations go according to plan. We have a big, amazing family here that really makes the show happen, and it is always a pleasure. I'll catch you again next week, Sunday, between 12 midday and 2 p.m. in Central African time. Have a glorious Sunday.